Well, Eskom has been in the spotlight at the state capture inquiry this week, with revelations and accusations coming from the former CEO Brian Molefe. But what does it mean for the power utility going forward? Professor Mark Swilling is with the School of Public Leadership at Stellenbosch University, and he joins me now. Professor Swilling, good evening, and good evening, and thank you so much for your time. Firstly, are you surprised at all by the way in which the evidence at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry is taking place?
Not at all. It is completely unsurprising. And anybody who's been watching state capture with Eskom at the very center of that will not be surprised by these battles that are merging in the public.
What has been most concerning for you? Because even as one listens to the evidence of the former CEO, Brian Molefe, and you compare it to what whether it's executives or former CEOs have said, there seems to have been an internal conflict taking place at the power utility, and much of it also depending on who was in charge at the time.
But that's the story of Eskom for at least the last decade. If you look at the number of CEOs, the changeovers, the board changeovers, the political interference, I mean, what we're talking about is an institution that once won a global award for being one of the best energy utilities in the world, now, falling apart in front of our eyes. And all along the way, there have been these internal battles and factions within Eskom that are mirroring the wider factional battles taking place in the political sphere. But that's what's beginning to change now. But they are losers, and they're starting to whine.
Unfortunately, South Africans at this point are having to bear the brunt of the dysfunction at Eskom. And at the end of the day, there must be a sense that there are people, there are individuals who can be held accountable for what has happened to Eskom. Do you see the state capture process as bringing us closer to that point?
Well, Eskom has got its own legal action against Brian Molefe to recover looted money. So that's taking its course. What is absolutely essential is that the Zondo Commission focuses on Eskom, joins all the dots, and uses its powers to take action, because it's pretty clear what happened and what's emerging. And what Brian Molefe is putting up now is a smokescreen. It's a set of distractions to get Zondo to look in all sorts of directions except at himself.
Of course, when you listen to some of the evidence that has been brought up by Brian Molefe in relation to the role of the then Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa as the chair of that war room that was established, is there a case for Ramaphosa to answer to, given the fact that he was tasked politically and from an executive level with oversight?
Well, Ramaphosa has said that he does intend to respond. So, it's common cause. So that is going to happen. We are going to get clarity. But, the things that Brian Molefe is referring to is kind of, it's a particular spin on a set of facts which are not surprising. There was a war room because we had a crisis. It couldn't do very much because Eskom was internally incoherent and couldn't actually get its act together to respond to what needed to be done. Now we have a GCO that is able to go after the bad guys, and obviously they are going to kick back and hatch all sorts of conspiracy theories to distract attention away from the fact that they looted Eskom.
Eskom being as divided an organization as we're hearing through this evidence, do you have any reason to believe that the state of affairs there has changed, that the dynamics in terms of the different factions that are present in the organization has changed today versus what it has been over the years?
I do think we should be more confident. I think there is a sense of a coherent team that has been built up by Andre de Ruyter, the group chief executive. He has got rid of people who have been problematic, right through to managers of power stations, and now more recently the chief procurement officer. I think we're seeing a cleanup. But when you clean up a mess, there are always losers, and they are going to fight back, and we should not be surprised by that. But overall, I think what we are seeing is good progress in terms of building a coherent team and beginning to take action, because that's never, ever happened before. People have just looted with impunity, and we are all paying the price in load shedding and now increases in electricity tariffs.
And I just want to stay with that point that you're raising about load shedding, because yes, there may be a sense of progress in terms of identifying individuals that need to be held accountable, but the situation electricity-wise for ordinary South Africans seems to be getting worse by the day.
Yeah, well, I mean, the challenges are massive. There's huge debt. The old coal-fired power stations are costing more and more to keep running, and they're becoming less and less reliable. But most importantly, there is not policy coherence. So you have the President and Pravin Gordhan and the Presidential Economic Advisory Council and a lot of others actually pretty united around an accelerated energy transition, but the DMRE, the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, are dragging their feet and not really coming to the party. So that puts Eskom in a difficult position, because the policy leadership comes from DMRE, but the whole of government and the whole of society wants to go in a different direction to DMRE.
Professor Mark Swilling, he is with the School of Public Leadership at Stellenbosch University. Thanks for your time tonight, Prof.